Hello, my name is Julie Schaefer, and this is my research presentation on do students online or in person perform better on the amount of perceived control that they have? And this being my 20th time to do this video, I hope that my in-person versus online version will do better. And let this be the last time that I do this. So the background of this study came with many questions for myself to understand if one is better than the other when it comes to online or in-person learning. First, does the way a student learns influence the stress level involved? Is online learning a better controlled environment for less stress? This was a particular question for me to get answered because when I started college, I had only in-person classes offered to me. And after COVID, had the opportunity to take all my classes online and found that online classes seemed to be much more of a stress or a much more controlled environment and less stressful for me when it came to my learning environment. And finally, what's the impact of stress versus having an in-person versus an online class? Which one is better? So in the research that I looked up on this, one particular study, they gathered 200 college students and found that those who have felt depression, anxiety, and stress were more likely to have a low life satisfaction. In addition, I also discovered that various social environments can play a role in behavior, but also shaping emotional effects. And it also can motivate and encourage students' overall performance if properly laid out. That being specifically, if they have an online environment, they might be able to set up a scene, have an office space or a quiet space where there's no distractions from their learning, and that actually be a successful way for them. So that therein laid out the hypothesis, which is students in an online class will score higher on the DC scale than in-person classes. This will positively correlate with better academic performance. So the method used, there was a survey where the participants answered 20 questions from the desirability of control scale and six additional questions based on their background. In this particular test, I had 24 females and 3 males. The results of the test, the study utilized a between group design to compare the effectiveness of online learning with in-person learning. The independent variable was online or in-person learning, and the dependent variable was the average number between the two for the DC scale results. A comparison was made using an independent t-test, and unfortunately, only 27 of the 37 responses were able to be utilized due to the data not transferring properly on JASP. We were having an issue where there were certain students, there were 10 students that also allowed for hybrid learning where they had some in-person, so they were answering both. They had some in-person and some online classes. And so they had to be eliminated because it was not responding to the JASP layout. The t-test results, as you can see in the descriptive plot, they're very comparable. There was not a whole lot of difference to them. And unfortunately, since the p-value failed to produce a result of less than 0.05, we found that there was no statistical significance between taking in-person classes versus online classes and the average results for the DC scale. So since my p-value was greater than 0.05, I had to fail to reject my null hypothesis. When looking at the descriptive plots and comparing this study to others, my results confirmed that students attending online classes correlate with a higher score on the DC scale. Now, one of the limitations of my study was the need to eliminate these students who claimed the hybrid classes, doing both online and in-person classes. So unfortunately, that brought my participants down to 27 and gave me a smaller sample to work with versus the 37 that I originally had started with. Another limitation was that I was unable to include questions in the survey regarding participants' academic performance and how that corresponded to them being in an online or an in-person class in order to distinguish if one was better than the other. So in the future, I would like my research on this to include a question of whether participants perform better when attending in-person or online classes. And it should also be formatted in a way that allows the researcher to read the participants' DC scale results rather than taking the average of them. So in the process of building this presentation, I thank you for listening. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Ms. Bowman and let her know that she has absolutely been my most favorite teacher / future professor, and that I've enjoyed this class thoroughly. Thank you.